Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend.
Arms with the flick, Johnson with the turn, Johnson with the goal, and the game turns on its head.
Still trying to tee it off for McAlliskey, back on to Rob Edwards! What a goal for Rob Edwards!
What a goal, Aaron Moy! An absolute thunderbolt delivered all the way from Australia! Played down the left and Moy stayed onside. Here's Mounier! 2-0 Huddersfield Town on the opening day of the Premier League! De Plata's forward, De Plata's got the better... Yes! And Laurent De Plata scores! Laurent De Plata scores!
It's in the box, it's in there, it's in there, it's there, it's on the box, it's in there, the King of Huddersfield!
Ladies and gentlemen, just one more game, one more result, 90 minutes left until the sweet release of the 24-25 season. Yes, this summer we're going to have to put up with a huge circle jerk of chest wankings from those down the A62. The mother cluckers are likely to be crowing from the rooftops about sold-out stadiums with swathes of empty seats, and possibly automatic promotion with the lowest points total to do so, since it went to 3 points for a win in 1981, but a promotion nonetheless. The summer will be full of sunshine, ice cream, incredible football annoyance, ridicule, and a time to keep a low profile in the hope that vengeance will be ours come 2026. But for this podcast, Patreon signups have been slow, and when pickup is slow, it tells you that your audience is 99% male. There's only one thing for it: bring in a silver-tongued silver fox to make the females come flocking. And David Hartrick was going to join us tonight, but he has, at the death of negotiations, let us down in a parallel to Huddersfield Town's season towards the end. He's decided to go to the theatre instead. So it's just me and Killer talking to you about a game I'm not sure any of you care about. So let's get going. Killer, we didn't do this last time we played Leyton Orient, so let's go. What do you know about Leyton Orient?
Not much, Matt. Not much at all.
Well, here are some facts for you. They were formed in 1881 as Glyn Cricket Club. They changed their name in 1888 to Orient, where they played in the Clapton and District League. Such was their love of that division and the area, they then changed their names to Clapton Orient. But no one wants the clap. So after World War II, they changed their name once more, this time to Leyton Orient, as they do technically play out of Leyton in London. However, 4 name changes are just not enough. So in 1966, they changed back to Orient FC before finally settling on Leyton Orient again in 1987. So why the name changes? Well, club historian Nielsen N. Kaufman suggested that the choice of the name Orient came about at the behest of a player, Jack R. Deering, who was an employee of the Orient Steam Navigation Company, later formerly part of P&O. So there you go. The club is imaginatively nicknamed the O's and has played at Brisbane Road since 1937. Brisbane Road, obviously, has had its name changed 4 times as well. It's had Osborne Road, the Matchroom Stadium, the Bray Group Stadium, and the Gawn Group Stadium. Lots of changes, lots of faces on that clock. Killer, tell us about this club with 1,000 faces and how they've been doing lately. It reminds me of like the Game of Thrones thing, do you know, with where she used to pull off the face, the warriors and stuff. So that's technically Leyton Orient.
Yeah. Oh, Matt. Do you know what? I'm just delighted. I am delighted that we've managed to get through. I know we haven't done 46 of these, but it's the 46th game of this season. And I'm kind of past the point of being depressed about it now, Matt. And I'm just looking forward to the Sunday morning and this season having been done and gone. I'm joining the boys on the beach tonight. My drink of choice this evening is sangria because holiday time's arriving, Matt. We're nearly there. Leyton Orient have had a strange season, to say the least, when you're just looking at win, losses and draws. But you can look at the results and it tells you a story. Now, Richie Owens is their manager, somebody who I think's a cracking manager, a cracking game manager. We'll get onto the tactics later on. But they started the season pretty poor, Leyton Orient, when you look at how many games they lost. But if you look at the scorelines they lost by and the teams they lost to, it tells you a little bit of a different story. In the first 4 league games, they lost to Bolton, Charlton, and Birmingham, as well as Shrewsbury. Right, Shrewsbury aside, which was quite embarrassing, the defeats other than that were only by a single goal. They struggled then to find a little bit of confidence, of course, but you could see them warming up into the season after that with a few draws and a few wins before they went on an incredible run after we beat them last time we played them 2-0. They won 10 consecutive league games, I think, and then they lost to Man City in the Cup by a goal. And their entire season from then on has been very, very tight games. They play a style of football that's perfect for League One in that they've looked at the squad that they've got. They've gone out and they've recruited guys on loan from better teams around them to play in the more expensive positions to recruit, such as striker and the number 10s, but looked at more experienced guys in the centre midfield and at the back a little bit, just to give them a little bit of a solid foundation, something that we've missed at points this season. They've done so well recently, Matt. They are probably the team most other ones wouldn't really fancy playing at this point of the season. They beat Barnsley a few games ago, 4-3 at home, having gone 2-0 down earlier on. And watching back through the highlights, you can see the tempo they still want to play at. Even 2-0 down, they've got that belief. They've got that drive that you need to get out of a division when you get into the playoffs. And we've had it a few times before. We've seen it and witnessed it, and we know what it's about. And when you look at Leyton Orient now, that's what they have. They're a team that are playing for the manager in a way that they know how to play best themselves. They know exactly what the teammate's going to do when he's going to do it. They are organised. They cause carnage in all situations going forward. They go forward fast. They managed to somehow bag the league's top goal scorer away from Kone and, of course, big man at Birmingham, Stansfield. But we'll move on to that in a second. They've recruited well. They've filled the gaps that they've got. They've hidden the problems that they've got. And the results, Matt, are they on another 5 or 6 game unbeaten run now? It's quite unbelievable to see them end this way when we beat them pretty comfortably earlier in the season. It's just a strange one to see how much their season's changed and our season's changed from that point, because it really was the turning point for Orient's season.
I thought at one point there you were just going to say, all right, Leyton Orient, you won. Enjoy the money, enjoy the playoffs. I hope it makes you happy. Dear Lord, what a sad little life. I thought that's where you were going with that one. Yeah, great stuff. Well done, Leyton Orient. It's a good story, to be fair, and a nice club. It's one of those clubs that you kind of, when you go down there, it just has a nice feel about it. You kind of go in the pubs, and they're all friendly, and you have a laugh with them, and there's no pretense with them. They're just decent folk at Leyton Orient. So I'm quite pleased for them. Although I do want Reading to go up because of the season they've had, just for the Reading fans. But if Leyton Orient did it, I've absolutely begrudged them nothing whatsoever. Right, let's have a look at Huddersfield. So Huddersfield Town are currently on a run of 5 successive defeats. We've not lost this many in a row since August to September of 2019, which was 6 in a row, and that was enough to see off Jan Seaver and Mark Hudson's little spell as caretaker. You may remember that Luton game with Town fans going absolutely bananas at Camille Grabara for passing the ball out from the back. That's where Gerrit Forrard reached peak velocity, I think, during that game. But yeah, Danny Cowley then came in and still lost 2 games before then going on that unbeaten 7-game run where Adama Diakabi looked like a serviceable footballer for 5 minutes before going back to what he was. So yeah, Huddersfield are not in a good spot at all. Nothing's going to change from now till we get rid of these players or some of these players. So we kind of expect more of the same, don't we? So we've known about Orient's form. Pozza is not known for his stat work, is he? He's more known for offering Kevin Nagel a bare knuckle boxing fight, bare knuckles in the car park, which was a joke, which obviously Kevin Nagel didn't understand the British humour thing, and it ended up being a thing, didn't it? But I think they kind of got there in the end with that, and then they had a fight again. But one thing Pozza said is Orient were 5 points behind us when Duff was sacked, and they're currently 11 in front of us. So they've had a 16-point swing on us in 9 games, and good stat from Poz is that. But that's just depressing, isn't it, when you see that? And we're going to look through the Leyton Orient team in a minute, and you just look through it and you just think, oh, bloody hell, they've done really well, but this team. This group of players has got in the playoffs ahead of us, and you just like, some of these players are literally shite, and it's you just like, and they deservedly finishing probably 14 points ahead of us, and it's just such a frustrating time to be a Town fan killer, isn't it? But I think what we'll do, we'll go on and we'll start talking. I think we'll start to sort of have a look at what we think the team's going to be going into this weekend, because there's, again, with it being the end of season, there's probably a few little changes here and there. So we'll go straight to Killer's favourite. Here we go, the tactics board. So we've got the tactics board up. So how will Huddersfield Town and Leyton Orient line up on Saturday? Don't care, I hear a lot of you screaming, but me and Killer will go through it nonetheless and power on in adversity. So Leyton Orient. So when we've been looking at Leyton Orient, we've noticed that they do change system quite a lot. They tend to go with more attackers at home, so they can play like a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. But away from home, they seem to pick the 4-2-3-1 quite a lot, and that just allows them to sort of stay in a rigid defensive shape when they do that. You may notice, or you may, you may find some of these names rather familiar in this Leyton Orient team. In terms of goalkeeper, they have what's he called? Is it Jamie? It's Josh Keeley, isn't it? The goalkeeper. Yep. That he's quite short for a keeper, but he's quite decent as well. He's had a fairly good season, and he was good against us, wasn't he? Back in when was it? November. It was around October, November time, doesn't it? When we played them initially. People remember Mikhail Helik scoring with a header, and then Josh Keeley was quite unfortunate how he whacked the ball at Callum Marshall towards the end, and it went in the net, and Town got a big slice of luck there from a game I think they'd already technically won. Town never get that when it's 0-0, do they? Or when they're up against it. So, but yeah, so Josh Keeley's your goalkeeper. Shall we pull out some stats on him like we did with Joe Whitworth? We completely blew smoke up Joe Whitworth again, and he kind of had a sort of a meh game, didn't he? But he's another one of these. You mentioned all these loan players as well, and Keeley is on loan from Tottenham, as is two of the other players. He's 21 years of age. He's Irish, or he can play for Ireland. He has had a pretty good breakthrough season. He's decent at coming to collect the ball. He can play a little bit from the back. His save percentage is good. It's 75%. He's prevented. This is quite a good stat, actually. He's prevented 8.47 goals this season, which is phenomenally good, because that basically means 8.5 goals should have gone in, but he's kept them out. You compare that to Town, and it's like 4 goals for Lee Nichols shouldn't have gone in under normal Lee Nichols circumstances, and then I think it's 3 for Jacob Chapman shouldn't have gone in. So they're on minus figures, showing that Keeley's ahead of us, in terms of like expected saves, whereas our goalkeepers are letting in goals that they should technically be stopping out, which is nice. So his passing accuracy is a little bit low, but Leyton Orient do play a lot of long ball as well. They like to mix it up, so that's not always something to worry too much about. He's got 1 assist and a fairly decent long ball accuracy, and 5 yellow cards this season. So maybe it's from the Lee Nichols school of time wasting as well. So decent player, decent goalie. If Town are looking at goalkeepers next season, they could do worse, couldn't they, than look at somebody like him. In defence, and this is where it gets familiar, in the right-sided centre-back is likely to be Romani Edmonds-Green, making his second visit back to Huddersfield this season. He previously did with Charlton, where you may remember he won a penalty, which was a complete dive and had me frothing at the time. But he's signed for Leyton Orient, back home near Peckham, isn't he now? So he's playing defence for them, and doing quite well by the looks of things. In terms of the right-back, though, I mean, it could be Ethan Galbraith who plays there, but Ethan Galbraith is technically their best midfielder. He's just come back from a spell from injury, so he played right back against Cambridge when they went away to Cambridge recently on the 21st of April. But in terms of who plays right back, if it's not going to be him, then we're looking at Sean Clare. And Sean Clare is someone that people might remember. He is the guy that used to play for Hearts, and he used to have the big birthmark on the side of his face, if you remember him. I think he might have got rid of that now, but things like that sort of stand out, don't they? And you kind of go, and so you kind of remember them. But he's quite a decent fullback. That's quite a good player Leyton Orient have got there at right back. In defence, it's going to be Romani Emmons-Green, we think. His partner in defence is an interesting one because there's a couple of options. It's either going to be Brandon Cooper, who's played quite a lot of games this season. Brandon Cooper, Welsh under-21 international. He's genuinely Welsh as well. He's from Porthcawl. He's not one of those sort of third-generation Welsh players, if you like. So he's likely to play at the back with Romani Emmons-Green with potentially Omar Beckles, the more experienced defender in there. And what I said off air, and I'll repeat it on air as well, is I think Omar Beckles is one of the worst footballers I've ever seen. He's just such an ungainly, terrible footballer. But as a defender, he kind of gets away with things quite a lot. And he's wiry and he's a pain and he gets in the way. But as a footballer, he's generally honking. But he's made 30 appearances this year for Leyton Orient as they've got into the top 6. So, maybe he's got the last laugh over me for sure. Jack Curry will play left back. He's on loan from Oxford, so he's one of your loanees as well. They've used this loan market very well, haven't they, Leyton Orient? Also in midfield, Sean Clare can play midfield, but I imagine he'll go back to right back for this game. I think Ethan Galbraith will play midfield. He's very talented. I think he's their star player, a former Man United youngster, a player I've wanted at Huddersfield for a little while, but how you fit him into our current lineup, I'm not entirely sure. But good player. He'll play either with Markande, or it's probably likely to be Jordan Brown, who plays in that sort of deep lying midfield position with him. And then just ahead of them, they're likely to have Jamie Donnelly, who's another player that they've got on loan. He's got 9 assists and 8 goals this season from sort of an attacking midfield position. He's 20, he's on loan from Spurs. He's really highly rated as well. I think it took a while for him to get going at Leyton Orient, but he's sort of hit the straps now and he's really doing a lot of good work for them. So he's going to be their danger man, I think, behind the striker who they've got is Charlie Kelman, who's the top scorer in the league, also on loan from QPR. So they've absolutely knocked it out of the park with their loanees. They've got got a goalkeeper who's keeping out 8-9 goals this season and winning points that way. They've got a decent left back in Curry. They've got the top scorer in League One in Charlie Kelman on loan from QPR, and they've got a really creative player in Jamie Donnelly. So I think that's massive hats off to Leyton Orient, because they came up from League Two last season, Killer, didn't they? And they've gone out and they've gone, do you know what? We're going to get 4 or 5 good loans, and that'll see us right. And they've got Ethan Galbraith there in midfield, sort of 5 assists, 6 goals, and up front, Charlie Kelman, and Dan Aggie does sometimes play as well. He's that sort of big battering ram type striker, isn't he? Whom people will remember fell on Mikael Miller earlier in the season and put Mikael Miller out for 8 months. Such is the massive stature of him. Wide players. They've got Randall Williams, the ex-Bolton and Exeter guy, who can play wide. That's an interesting one. He could play wide. They've got Dylan Makande, and they've got Abdullahi as well. So they're not bad players, those, Azim Abdullahi. So he's another quite a decent young player as well. So it's not a bad side. You know, I mentioned Omar Beckles not being great and what have you, but you know, Azim Abdullahi is former Celtic youngster from Glasgow. It's not a bad team. It's very young in certain areas. I think it's got its weak links, Killer. I don't think Romani Emmons-Green's particularly amazing, and the defence is particularly amazing. But they just have a good balance, don't they? And they've got a good manager who knows how to get the best out of them. They've got a good balance. I think they can stay in shape quite well. The keeper's young but quite commanding and decent. Sean Clare's got good legs, you know. And I don't mean good legs, but he's got good. He can get up and down quite well. It's just quite a nicely balanced team, isn't it? And you can understand when you go through it, you kind of understand how they've managed to get themselves where they are. Yeah,
it'd be nice to know who their loan manager is, or their sporting director, because I tell you what, he's done a bloody brilliant job putting this team together. They are solid, Matt. They're solid. The way they play football's good football. They defend with 2 men on the post, right, for corners. And that alone, for me, gets me excited. I just want to see a couple of guys, front post, back post, stops so many easy goals from corners. And they play that way, but they don't have a tall guy up top, yet they still play a long ball. But what they do focus on there, Matt, is that they win all the second balls. So if they ping it long, Kelman, he hassles, fine. But then they're more bothered about winning the next ball where the other defenders have headed it back into midfield and picking it up there and attacking from that point on. They don't dominate possession, but they dominate chances because they play in a very effective way. They like to cross a lot as well, but it's not like who's best for us where we tend to go to the byline and then pull it back. They don't do that. They kind of cross where David Beckham used to do it quite a lot from outside the 18-yard box.
Was doing it at the start of the season, wasn't he?
Yeah, to be fair, he was. Yeah, and they thrive on that. So they get people all over the box and then get the crosses in as quickly as possible. They like to make you play on the back foot. They like to hit you when you're not set. They play that kind of quick transitional football that is effective. And when everybody knows their roles, as Leyton Orient guys do, it just shows you how well they can do. And you're right with Beckles, Matt. He's an awful footballer, but he's a unit. He's massive. Yeah, he's a massive, and as we've spoken about, as we've seen this year in this division, genuinely, I think you need a unit centre back and a centre forward that can either be hassle and score goals or be a unit up top as well. You need kind of a talisman at the back and a talisman at the front. And if you look at all the teams in the playoffs and up at the top of the league, unless Birmingham spent millions, it's a bit different for them. That's generally what good teams have got: a big guy at the back and a strong guy up top. And this is another one of those teams, Matt.
Wrexham as well. Wrexham are very cloggy.
It works.
At the front and back.
It works, and it works over the course of the season, and it's worked really, really well for Leyton Orient. They're a solid team. I'm looking forward to seeing Kelman. I've not seen him too much I've not watched Leyton Orient too much this year when it comes to full live games. So I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing how he plays because he scored a lot of goals in a team that creates chances that don't particularly suit him. His goal the other day was like a breakaway in possession, and he looks a bit of an all-round striker. I think he could be one to watch for the future, probably at championship level, maybe not quite Premier League just yet. But I'm looking forward to see how he goes. But yeah, they're a good team, and they know the strengths, and Wands has got them playing to it, and it's just what you need to do in this league.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Kelman. He's another one who's just come quite strong late on. Again, you're looking at it. I'm looking at his last, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in his last 9 games, he's got 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. So he's got 10 goals in 9 games. So he's coming on really strong and late in this season. He was on loan at Wigan last year, and he got 3 goals in 14 games. But sometimes that's all you need, isn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me, for example, if Callum Marshall went somewhere else next season and banged in 20-odd goals, because sometimes you just need that one season, and then I'm not saying he's going to, for example, but I'm just saying it could happen, that this can happen where they just need that little spell, go back, reflect, and then come back again, and they're good. And, fair play to Charlie Kelman and Leyton Orient. So the big question is, how are Huddersfield Town going to play, Killer? I thought, sort of thinking on this, I thought, in terms of goalkeeper, I thought someone made a good point reading the sort of Discord group a little bit. So if our Patreon users now have a Discord group, so if you listen to this and you're a Patreon member and you're getting adverts, speak to me, because you can link your Spotify account to your Patreon account, then the adverts will stop on those. And we've also got a Discord server now, so you can get involved with the chat and send in your predictions and stuff and chat with other Town fans on there. It's building up quite nicely, which is pretty good. And there's a Down at the Mac one as well, spin-off next to it you can have, which you can enjoy Lee Morris telling you that your footballing opinions are shit, which is a pastime of many a Town fan, and Lee knows I'm pulling his leg. So, but I read on the Discord, someone put on there that, I think the question was, who's going to be the captain next season if when Hogg leaves, when Pearson leaves, etc., etc. And they were like, Lee Nichols, ? And it made me think, do you know what? If the club thought Lee Nichols was going to be here next year, or they were going to build that way, he would be in goal, I think, these last 2 games. And it just makes me think that Lee Nichols is probably, or they may look to move him on this summer, take that hit and rebuild that department as well. And Jacob Chapman signed his new contract. People know what I think of Jacob Chapman. I think he's okay. I don't think he's a first choice in this division. Definitely not a first choice for a team wanting to get promoted, because I like him. He's a nice lad. He plays football really well. He's a better player of the ball than all of our centre-backs apart from Balka, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I just don't think Jacob Chapman will win you enough points throughout the season or take enough pressure off when you're under pressure, with plucking things out of the air. And he may improve next season, and he may kick on and become better again. Like we've just said here, Kelman had a spell Wasn't great at Wigan, came back. He's banged in 21 goals. So maybe Jacob Chapman could do the same. He's young in goalkeeping terms. But I just think if they had that plan for Lee Nichols, then he'd have played these last 2 games and they would be pushing to have it putting Jacob Chapman in makes me think that Lee Nichols is either maybe not going to be here next season or they're looking at Chapman sort of superseding him to be number 1. And then when you look at it, you think, well, Lee Nichols signed a new contract not so long since, well, a couple of years ago after the playoff defeat, sorry. And that wouldn't have been cheap to keep him because there was interest in him, there was talk of England watching him and all this stuff. That wouldn't have been cheap. So you're not going to pay top dollar to keep Lee Nichols on the bench, are you? So to me, if Chapman plays, then it makes me think maybe Lee Nichols is going to either be given a free or if someone will buy him, great. But I think the club may look to move on all of the experienced pros at the end of the season, including, like we've seen Hoggy this week and all of them. And we'll do something about Hoggy maybe on Sunday on the podcast. So I think Chapman will play in goal. You feel free to jump in on Lee Nichols on that.
Yeah, we on the previous drive-in, I thought Chapman was the way to go for a couple of reasons, because I don't think he'd have been offered a new contract or signed it at that point without the promise of properly competing for the job or being given the job for next season. Because I think he's of an age, again, he's young in games but not in age, and he needs to play week in and week out now at this point in his career. For him to sign a new deal with us told me I think he's the keeper for us next year. And if that is the case, I've got an alternative opinion to you on this one, in that I'd put Nichols back in as his kind of final hurrah. He's been an amazing servant for us. This game doesn't matter whatsoever for us. It's not like you're dropping quality either, so you're not making it less of a fair game for other people trying to get in the playoffs. I think it's important that we don't just give Orient the game because it matters for the League One and for the. We've obviously had the issue before with Blackpool being on the pitch and ending that game, and it ended up not even being replayed at any point. And nobody liked that. And I don't think you should ever be able to throw away a game, regardless of the importance to one of the teams in it. I think it's important for the faith of the competition that you give it a good go to win, regardless of what the outcome is for you. So, but with Nichols, I don't feel like there is a drop-off. So I'd be chucking Nichols back in because I don't think we'll see him again next season. And it'd just be nice for him to get the same treatment that Hoggy's going to get on Saturday.
Okay. Back 4, I think, where this pretty much put his colours to the mast, hasn't he? In terms of back 4, we've not had any sort of nod, really, have we, as to whether we're recording this, aren't we, on Thursday night, and we've not had the press conference. That's the word I was looking for. Have we, to sort of suggest who is and who isn't going to play and who's going to do the? I imagine Hoggy will do the press conference, and then. And he'll play, but I think right back. I think they'll play a back 4, and I think the right back will continue to be Neo Eccleston at this stage. I mean,
he was awful though, Matt. He was awful the last time out, and I feel you've got to protect. You don't think
it was? I think the problem was Worthy had him playing that hybrid, didn't he? Sort of like
he did.
Right centre back to right back, and I think he might just have him at right back this time. We said in the drive-in last week we would play him wide right in midfield to take away that defensive sort of stress for him, but I think he might keep him in there.
I think you've got to protect him a little bit here, Matt. Leyton Orient are a good team, and there is a chance that we get run over a little bit here. And I think the last thing for Neil Eccleston's development needs to be in a tough game at home against opposition far greater than what we're facing, especially considering, in my opinion, he was at fault for a few of those goals last time out, Matt. I'd be chucking Sorensen in here because I think he's got something to prove. He's been awful for weeks. I'd be chucking him into the Wolves a little bit and seeing if he can actually get something together playing as a right back in a back 4, because he's not necessarily been great at it or even done it too much for us, has he? He's normally been a wing back. So if we're going to go in
his career, that's the
no, well, that's one way to look at it. But if next year we're going to go with a back 4, the likelihood is whoever comes in as a manager, if we stick with a 3-4 whatever, a 3-5 whatever, that's quite uncommon. The likelihood is somebody will come and play a back 4. Sorensen would have to then be a right back. So I think you can use this as a little bit more of a test to see if he's up to it. And I'd probably go for him for that reason, as well as protecting Neo, unless you play him further forward.
Okay. We talked about in the podcast, didn't we, about Matty Pearson being captain, but I don't think he's captain this week. I think Hoggy's captain this week, this game, but Matty Pearson probably still plays again. Centre back, you would imagine it'll be maybe alongside Brodie Spencer again if Brodie's fit. The reason why I mentioned the press conference is because he's had a few knocks and niggles, hasn't he, Brodie Spencer? So I think he'll play centre back. Left back is the interesting one, isn't it? He played Ollie Turton there, which didn't go particularly well, did it? I mean, no. Did we hear as to whether Josh Ruffles was injured or just anything? We didn't really hear anything, did we? Because you would think Josh Ruffles being naturally left-sided, he would play. Mikael Miller's out, isn't he? He's injured. Roskin's injured for the rest of the season. Personally, I'd play Ruffles. It just makes more sense. If he's fit, then Ruffles goes in. If he's not, then it's probably Turton again, isn't it? But we've also, like I say, we're also not entirely convinced or sure Brodie Spencer's 100% because he went off at half-time, didn't he? So, again, it's still bare bones, isn't it, at this stage of the season? It's crazy how we're still in this situation, but it's probably going to be Ruffles or Turton at left-back, isn't it? Depending on fitness status. Midfield, Hoggy's going to be the one we think to play, and I think he'll probably play 89 minutes and he'll go off and they'll have some kind of guard of honour almost for him, won't they? It's one of those where the whole game will stop and everyone will clap him off or something on 89 minutes. Some people don't like that, do they? Because it's they think it should be reserved for testimonials and stuff like that. But I think Hoggy will play. Herbie King continues. Do you think midfield with him?
Yep.
And Evans didn't. I didn't think Evans played particularly well last week. Again, Ben Wiles came on. Again, didn't do particularly amazing either. It's basically toss a coin between those two, don't you think? At the minute,
it is. But Wiles is more mobile than Evans is, and if you've got Hogg in there with Kane, you need a little bit of more mobility. Yeah. So I'd go with Wiles. But that's I'll tell you what, it's a coin toss, isn't it?
Could go in there as well. So he did pick Kasumu, didn't he, as well last week? But it does Hogg come in for Kasumu? Do you play Kasumu because you need the legs? But then you don't have much creativity with Hogg. I mean, Kane is creative, but he doesn't get forward, does he, if you play him central midfield? No. So that's it. And then he'll probably end up, because of that, then playing Ben Wiles in the front three, which we don't like at all, do we? Yeah, I think it's going to be Hogg. Maybe Kasumu plays right back and
potentially,
and Sorensen and Eccleston don't. Maybe Kasumu plays right back, and then you've got him coming across to help out, and then you've got Hogg, Kane, and then maybe Wiles. I think, and I understand trying to play Evans and trying to play him into some form, but it's just not really happening, is it, at the minute with him? And then you've got the wide men. What's happened to Tuanda Chirewa? You know, he's completely fallen off the radar.
I forgot about him, Matt. He wasn't even in the team sheet last time, and he's been so vacant for weeks. I mean, I actually forgot he wasn't on.
Bad. It wasn't that bad, was he? I didn't think he was terrible, but I don't know whether he's kind of looked at him and just gone, do you know what? Don't fancy him. But it's like literally we don't have many wingers at all, so you would think that. I know he likes to cut in and be that sort of number 10, but you would have thought there'd be an option, but I don't know. Karoma's going to play left, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's on a little bit of a streak at the minute. Can he make it 4 in 4? He's got 3 in 3. He's got 1 or 2 nice goals recently. The striker, Dion Charles probably starts, but I mean, you've got to sort of play Joe Taylor at some point to try and work out how to get the best and to try and platform him, don't you? Just to work on it. So, but he's not. Again, when he starts, he's not really involved too much. I think Taylor is certainly one of those that needs a strike partner, doesn't he, to take a lot of the heavy lifting from him. So I think we're looking at Charles maybe to start, do you think, and Taylor coming on?
I think that's what he's going to go with, yeah, but I don't think we should. I think, for me, Taylor we've not given him any real game time, I don't think, recently, Matt, have we? No. He kind of, ever since Burton away, it was kind of been another kind of fringe player, really, which is.
I mean, he kind of deserved it. He was pretty bad, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was. Sent off, probably.
But Charles hasn't been much better for the last few games. I do think Worthy will stick with Dion Charles, but I don't know what more he needs to do to kind of warrant being replaced by Taylor, because to me, he doesn't score. It doesn't look like scoring. He had a brief spell, like you say, when he went back to watch Bolton, remembered how to play football. He were okay for a couple of games. And then he's kind of gone back to what he was prior to going to watch Bolton again. So
Yeah.
to me, it'd make more sense to play Taylor. But for Worthington, for some reason, he seems to prefer not to have him
I
in.
think you need to get people close to Taylor, though, and I don't think we're going to do that in this game with that midfield, especially with Hoggy in there. It means the midfield's going to sit deeper a little bit because he's not got the legs to move around. And I have absolutely no idea who plays wide right either, because Callum Marshall's suspended still, isn't he? So who plays wide right at this moment? Do you play Eccleston there, or is that where Kasumu plays, or does he try and do that silly Ben Wiles thing again and play him wide right? Or Sorensen? Does Sorensen play there? It's a quandary, isn't it? But it's done this hybrid 3-5-2, 4-2-3, 4-2-3-1 sort of system, hasn't he, recently? And that's why the episode was lost in transition last week, because players, when the ball turns over, players struggle to transition back into defence and get caught out. But to be honest with you, I've got no idea who's going to pick on the right, and I don't think we care. Do we? Just looking at us both, I don't think either of us are bothered. We just kind of want it over and done with, don't we? That's it for the tactics board. I think we think Town will go with that. Just to recap, you think Nichols in goal. I think Chapman. Right back, we're not sure. We think could be Kasumu, Sorensen, or Eccleston at this stage. Pearson, we think we've got him locked in with Spencer at centre back, providing Spencer's fit. It'll be Ruffles or Turton at left back. Ruffles makes more sense if he's fit, with him being left footed. Midfield, Hoggy has to play. It's his farewell. It's pretty much his farewell game, isn't it? So you would imagine. Herbie Kane did okay. I thought Herbie Kane was all right, and that goal he got disallowed was gutting, wasn't it? Really, I think he's one of the better players at the minute, Herbie Kane, even though he's only just come back. Alongside him, it's going to have to be Kasumu or Wiles, we think, in that midfield. But if you put Kasumu in, there's no support to the front man, really. So that comes from Ben Wiles. But if you put Ben Wiles in with Taylor, then nobody holds the ball up and you're just going to turn it over and lose it anyway. So the target will probably be Josh Koroma on the left, and hope that he can just hold the ball and do his sort of like hold-up play where he kind of dances on it a little bit and then brings it back inside. So Koroma will probably be a key component to this one against his old club. Up front, we think with Dion Charles running and harassing Roman Edmonds-Green. And then we've got no idea who's going to play wide right, do we? It could be Ben Wiles, it could be Kasumu, it could be Sorensen, it could be Eccleston, or maybe Anthony Evans as well, because he's kind of played that high wide right-ish role, hasn't he? So there's a lot of options there. If Evans does play wide right, though, then you're going to need an overlapping right back like Sorensen to go on the outside, and Evans comes in. So there's a lot that you can. There's a lot to sort of think about, but I think basically we just want the game to be over with, don't we? What's your prediction
we do.
for this one?
Just don't care. I actually just don't care, man. But Koroma will score. Koroma will have to score, because this is Koroma. He's going to have a good end of his Town career. But I reckon Leyton Orient are far too much for us. 3-1 Orient, and some heavy boos from the Town fans throughout the game.
Okay, I'm going 2-0 Orient. I think we'll be crap, and I think everything will be focused on Hoggy, and I think quite rightly as well. And I think he'll probably be the man of the match in the game as well, Jonathan Hogg. So let's go to our Patreon subscribers via Discord. Josh Anfield says Town 0 Orient 3. He says, right, they need the win. They've got desire. They're in form. We don't even have a plan. I'm going to witness the lap of shame at the end, partly to remain silent out of principle, but also to gauge how other fans respond. Lee Morris says, we'll do what we usually do when a club comes here on the final day needing something. I mean, we've got a good history of that. I remember Portsmouth coming here and whacking us. I think Port Vale have hammered us, and basically Charity FC, isn't it? We've been Charity FC for a long, long time, and I don't see that changing. He also says, instead of abusing them off, we all ought to leave silently after about 10 minutes and leave them playing in an empty ground. Can you imagine if they did that? That'd be something. Terry Jack says 3-0 loss. Matty Pearson shushes the Kilner bank. Dion Charles skies a sitter, and I leave after 70 minutes. Phil Ross says we have to sign off with an emphatic win, don't we? Just to leave us all even more confused. 3-0 Town, and don't ask me how I came to that conclusion. Huddersfield says, not too sure, depends what squad we play for me. I wouldn't have a single loan or out of contract player in the starting 11. Got to be Charles and Taylor up front together, surely. Bit of a random one. Who would everyone rather get playoffs, Orient or Reading? I don't think there's a wrong answer with that, do you? It's like Orient are a decent club that you wouldn't wish any harm on. And Reading have been, their fans have been through I keep saying it though, they've been through so much this season and they've been up against it every single week. I'd like Reading to do it. I think they deserve it. I think the fans deserve it. I think the club deserves it. But I'd probably cheer either one of them in the playoffs overall. Although I quite like Stockport as well. I think they're a decent club. But to be fair, I don't really care who goes up. But I look at it strategically, and you kind of think, right, Birmingham, Wrexham, get them out of the way, big money team, that are going to be there to compete. And then you kind of like tactically look and say, right, who's going to be the ones that are going to be up there in the top 3 or 4 next season? Who's not going to fall to bits? Because Leyton Orient, you wouldn't expect to repeat the trick, would you?
No.
Stockport, I think you probably could. Excuse me. And Wycombe's a bit of a question mark, isn't it? They do have a rich owner, but not sure of their track record at the minute with him. So and they did kind of sell players. If they sell Richard Kone, what have they got to replace? So maybe, but it's an interesting one. And Charlton as well. If Charlton don't go up, I think they could potentially lose a couple of players because they are a selling club. So, although everyone's a selling club, I know, but they're probably a bit more than some. So, and would they replace them? Nathan Jones has done great for them, hasn't he? So, would they be up there next season? Probably. Would they be as good? I don't know. So, Reading, I'd like them to get in to go up. Stockport, you think?
I'm with you, Matt. I'm now focusing on, which is a very sad state of affairs, isn't it? What's easier for us next year? And I think Charlton are the ones I'd want to go up because Nathan Jones will never have a bad team in this division. He just won't. And Charlton, London-based team, they can attract players. They've got a nice history. They're the ones I'd want to get out of the way. I think Stockport will be good. I like Charlton. They'll be good for a while. But again, I don't feel like they've got the same attraction to players across the divisions that Jones will have at Charlton, so I just want him gone, if possible. But Reading as well, to be fair, if they did sneak in, if they do finally get a new owner, which again, who knows, they're a club bigger than most teams in this division historically or recent history. So there's somebody I'd rather out of the way as well, even though what they're doing at the moment is quite phenomenal considering the circumstances which they face. I'm with you, Matt. I like Orient and Reading. I really don't mind too much who goes up. But do you know what, Matt? There's a little bit of something in me that wants us to beat Orient on Saturday so we can enjoy their misery. Do you know, just have a little bit of positivity. I know it's a bit mad at me. It probably says a lot about me, doesn't it?
So many times, haven't they? Yeah. We don't really do that to anyone, do we?
So if we can't win, if we can't win, at least we can enjoy someone else's defeat. And maybe if we can stop Orient going up, that can be the moment that brings all the town fans back. That's everything together. We can all cheer while Leyton Orient sit there depressed, having won 28,000 games in a row and still miss out on the playoffs. Maybe that's something we can hope for, because I'm just a bastard and I like to enjoy other people's misery when I'm miserable.
There, didn't you?
It's a little bit of a hint of what might be to come in later episodes, Matt. But no, for me, Reading then, because I want to enjoy Orient's demise on the weekend.
James Carey says Leyton Orient look a great price at evens for the win. Scott Nixon says 2-0 to Leyton Orient. Our lot have gone physically and mentally. Orient have it all to play for, so we'll be fighting for everything. And we know this sack of ain't got that in them. Phil says Reading. He says even showing with the chaos off the pitch, you can still achieve something with the right mentality on it. And then there's a lot of chat about Reading. So cheers, Ben, for taking that off on that. I'm only joking. But Mark Harrison says, I'm expecting 0-2 in front of a sparse crowd, and most will likely have gone by the full whistle. No lap of honour. However, I'd like us to do Reading a favour. Colin Fronchak says, we'll lose, and Edwards... I didn't give Colin a place name, did I? We usually give him Calderdale Colin or Kirklees Colin. What shall we call him this week? Combe Valley Colin. Have we had that one? He says, we'll lose, and Edwards Green will score, whilst their fans give Karoma shite for leaving them for a better club. And that's about it. Johnny Mack says, I'd like to see the O's go up this season, so I thoroughly expect this shithouse team Town team to disappoint me one more time by fluking a draw that sees Reading take the final playoff place. Lols joke, 4-0 Orient. So there we go. That's it from our Patreon guys. The last bit of what we do, Mr. Silk, is we have a look around the grounds, don't we, and see what's going on this weekend. So we're all kicking off at 3 o'clock. There's nothing earlier, sooner. Sky Sports Plus have all the games on. There's no blackout this for the last game of the season. Huddersfield Town versus Leyton Orient is the main game, so you don't even need to leave the comfort of your front room if you've got Sky for this one. But we've got Blackpool versus Bristol Rovers. I think Bristol Rovers are down, aren't they? I don't think they can...
Nope.
Let's have a quick look. I've got the table here. Yeah, Bristol Rovers are third bottom. Yeah, they're down, and so are Crawley. So Bristol Rovers are down, so Blackpool you would expect to maybe get something and then finish above us, which is... I mean, they're above us already, I know. They're in 9th, aren't they? And we're in 10th. Bolton versus Stevenage. That's got no one cares written all over it, hasn't it? Throughout. I think Schumacher will probably want to finish a bit stronger, though, because they'll fancy themselves to dust themselves down for next season, even though they got rid of a decent sporting director. Cambridge versus Birmingham. Birmingham are absolutely romping to like 111 points or whatever it is, which will be outrageous, won't it? That'll be the biggest points total, I think, in League One history, probably. I've said that without checking it.
It's any history, Matt. I think Reading's record of 107 points was the biggest in any division. So Birmingham will likely end with the highest points total ever in English football.
Fantastic for them. Charlton, I mean, they've been completely graceful about it all season, haven't they? Bless them. Birmingham fans.
Romantic story.
Yeah. Although they don't pretend it's not, do they, to be fair? Wrexham, on the other hand. Charlton Athletic versus Burton. I think Charlton will finish strong going into the playoffs. I think when you look at the table again, there's home games to play for. So Charlton, if they win, could technically go above Stockport and Wickham and get the home match in the second game, which is what I think a lot of people will want. So you've got Charlton, I think, will cruise past Burton, with Burton already safe. Huddersfield versus Leyton Orient, which we think Orient will win. Lincoln versus Wrexham. Now, Wrexham are on the beat. They've won. They've had the promotion party, etc., etc. If Lincoln beat Wrexham, if Lincoln beat Wrexham and we lose, then we finish 11th and Lincoln finish above us. It can get worse this season for us. We can drop another place. So 11th is the lowest we can finish. It might happen. It might happen. They've got a better goal difference than us as well. So if they won and we lost, it's on. It doesn't matter what the score is. It could happen, couldn't it? But I think it might. I think Wrexham might get something. I don't think they'll have given up, but I don't think they'll be at 100% either. And to be honest, I don't think Lincoln will be at 100% either. Maybe a draw in that game. Mansfield Exeter, no one cares. Northampton Wigan, no one cares. Reading Barnsley is the other game. I think Reading will beat Barnsley, don't you, mate?
I think so, yeah.
So Reading and Orient are both on 75 points. The problem for Reading is they're on plus 13 and Orient are on plus 21. There's not going to be a swing big enough there. So I think Orient are basically going to get in the playoffs, aren't they, unfortunately, for Reading. And that leaves Rotherham versus Peterborough. Peterborough, again, we keep talking about Peterborough, but they are interesting watching them moving into next season. And I noticed they played the other day and a couple of different players. They've plucked a couple of different players out from somewhere. So there was a new striker I noticed who was scoring goals for Peterborough in their last game. I think they lost 4-2, didn't they, to Mansfield. I'm trying to remember the striker's name. I'm just going to click it and find it, but unfortunately I've come across the highlights rather than the report. But so I can't remember what it's called. Was it? Let's have a look. Killer 4-2 versus Mansfield away from home. It was Lindgren. That was the striker. So Peterborough's team. So Will Evans scored a couple of goals for Mansfield. I mean, they lost 4-2 to Mansfield, but they are trying a couple more. So I've noticed a few different names. They had Blackmore in goal. It's a bit different. They usually have Jed Steer, Nevitt at the back, O'Brien Brady, who used to be in Huddersfield's B team, playing in midfield for them. De Havilland in midfield, and Chris Clark was back in, and the striker was Lindgren. Interesting for me. They are good at sort of plucking these players out from nowhere, aren't they? So he's 23 years old. He's called Gustav Willy Lindgren, and Peterborough have signed him from Degerfors this year. So interesting. So Degerfors, he's not had an amazing record. 16 goals in 44. Got his first goal for Peterborough, but I think he's got his first league goal, but he's scored a couple in the Virtue Trophy. So. But yeah, he's quite new this season. So again, that's interesting to keep an eye on. Peterborough are always quite interesting at unearthing some players. And then the last two games are Shrewsbury versus Crawley. Again, no one cares at this point. And then Wycombe versus Stockport, which is interesting because basically the winner gets a home game in the second leg, which could be important. I fancy Stockport doing Wycombe. I think Wycombe have gone a little bit. I did think Wycombe would blow up. All season, I thought Wycombe would blow up and not get second, but I also thought it'd be us or Wrexham that would get second. And look how Town have made me and you look, because we both thought that, didn't we, at one point when we got Joe Taylor. And that's it. That's round the houses. We've managed to do it again, mate. We said we'd do about 25, 30 minutes, and we've managed to waffle on for 50 again. I've got nothing else to say. I'm just delighted that this season's going to be over. The summer's going to be horrible because Leeds United have been promoted, and if you live in Leeds like I do, there's like digital signs up. I went in Morrison's today, and that one of the Red Bull have sponsored one of the aisles and made it an Elland Road aisle, and you walk through it, it's like a pitch in front of you. And I'm a Tesco man from now on. Morrison's can do one. No, I'm not that vindictive. But Bradford as well. And that's going to be interesting as well, isn't it? Who comes up from League Two. So the problem with League Two at the minute is absolutely nobody seems to want to get that last automatic promotion place. I think Bradford have got 9 points in 9 games, which is repulsive in a way. And I can't believe they're still in the automatic places with that record, because no one else is particularly good up there. And genuinely, when I said it at the start, if Bradford lose and get promoted on Saturday, which is very possible because nobody ever seems to win at the top, it will be the worst points total to get promoted from League Two since 3 points for a win came in 1981. And even if they do win and get promoted, it's still the shittest points total for 27 years to get promoted from League Two. And basically, if Bradford go up, that's their version of our -2 goal difference in getting promoted to the Premier League, isn't it? That's basically what it is. But I think Bradford are going to do it on Saturday. They've got the crowd in, haven't they, against Fleetwood. Even if they don't win, even if they draw, I think they'll still do it because the league is genuinely that crap this season in League Two. It's not good at the top, which it doesn't have to be for Bradford because happy days for them if they get promoted. But the games of interest in League Two to see who can get promoted. Let's have a quick flick through. So Bradford versus Fleetwood, again, 3:00 kickoffs, Sky Sports Plus for anyone who's bothered. Quick scoot through, and you've got Crewe versus Walsall. Walsall haven't won for 13, 14 games. They're not just going to... They've gone, and they'll get destroyed in the playoffs as well. The hope that you've got is basically Notts County, who've got Doncaster at home, and Doncaster are trying to win the league. So, again, it's not going to happen. Port Vale have got basically Gillingham at home, so if they win, they'll win the league if Doncaster don't. So really what we need is Bradford to lose and Notts County to win, because Walsall won't do it. But some Town fans like Pozza seem to rather randomly and oddly want Bradford City to get promoted, which each to their own and all that, mate. But I think I can hear the music in the background, can't you? Shut up, Matt. Let's get this finished and done, and let's move on to next season.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.